Now, 177 companies and sectors ranging from aviation, retail to healthcare delivery are being prosecuted by the Data Protection Commission for failing to register with their outfit as required by the Data Protection Act 2012. Now, sections 27 clause 1 and 46 clause 3 of the Act mandate all entities and individuals who collect, hold and use personal data in Ghana to register with the Commission. Data controllers in these companies are therefore in danger of being imprisoned for 2 years or paying a fine of not more than 250 penalty units or both. We've been joined in the studio by the Executive Director of the Data Protection Commission, Teki Falconer. Thank you, ma'am, for your time, and good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's an interesting list I have here. I mean, 177. Let me just give you some names here. In the aviation industry, we have Arik Air, which is an international airline from Nigeria. We have Royal Air Maroc, that's from Morocco. Here in Ghana, Stable Airlines, Amtrak Airlines, TAP Portugal Airlines, British Airways, Ghana International Airlines Limited. It goes on and on. Air Ghana, Des Air Kogo Hotels, Royal Senche, African Regent, Aqua Safari, Pediassi Valley, Royal Rochester. The list goes on and on. I'm not mentioning in any order. I'm just picking as I see them. And Airport Women's Hospital when it comes to healthcare. Shopping centers, Accra Mall, ANC Square, Marina, Game Store, Chimota Retail Center. We even have the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Holy Trinity Medical Center. That's for hospitals and clinic. A lot of them, 177. Thank you once again, I must say. It's quite overwhelming looking at the stature and the kind of companies we have here. How did we get here?
Well, I think we've gotten here because of the apathy that we show as Ghanaians, that we show as businesses towards our laws, and especially towards respecting the interests of the people of this country. And after having, called, after having, worked with everybody, some of these institutions, we've visited them, some of them we've written, we've done various public announcements to help institutions really identify themselves. At this point, we have no choice. And this is also coming in because of the constant trend that we are seeing. We've seen an increase in the complaints that are being made by members of the public. And most of the institutions that we are receiving these complaints from, we found out are not registered. So clearly the registration process helps get institutions in order to protect interest. And so we need to do this at this point. And we're quite disappointed with the institutions. We would have rather we don't take this step, but we need to caution members of the public so that they take some precautions when they are working with such institutions.
Why is it important for these institutions or companies to even register in the first place?
Well, one, I don't want to go with the requirements, but data protection is a business and a prudent business practice to help information management within the organization. Aside from that, it is mandatory under this law, and it is predominantly mandatory because the Data Protection Act seeks to protect the individuals, seeks to protect citizens of this country from the violation of their privacy. And one way by which we can ensure that is to ensure constant monitoring for compliance with the Data Protection Act. And the registration is one of the ways by which we're able to know which institutions are out there, what information they collect, how they are protecting the information, and to constantly monitor them to make sure that they are protecting the interest of their customers or employees or any member of the public whose information they collect. Another reason why this is mandatory is because we are mandated as a commission under the law to make this information public so that members of the public are well informed when they are giving out their information. As you know, my information is my right, and I should have absolute control over how it is used. So by publishing the list, which we are mandated to do, of the registered data controllers, we're able to empower individuals to take prudent decisions. So if I want to deal with a financial institution, who would I give? Is it the one that I've taken a bold step to say, I'm going to comply with laws that protect your interest? Or is it the one that has not? So we need individuals to know about these things.
Well, are you not making life more difficult for people or complicated? Because, you know, how practical is this? In your release, you warn the general public, you caution them against visiting some of the key hospitals and key facilities, saying that once you give the information, you give it at your own disadvantage. How practical is this, considering this country, this is Ghana we are talking about, really?
Yes, so we need to let people know, and they have to make that informed choice. At the end of the day, if you had earlier participated in our press conference, we had also indicated ways by which members of the public, if you feel that you have no choice but to visit these institutions, contact us as soon as possible for those ones that we don't know. But as I mentioned, we're not just ending it, we are giving them the information so that they can make informed choices. But it is also for the institutions to take steps immediately to remedy this act of not complying with the law. And we don't leave it there. If they do not, we will take up the next steps, because our interest is in protecting the ordinary person on the streets who may not know where to pass, who does not know what to do when their information is violated.
Okay, so let's simplify it. I go to the hospital today, any of the hospitals you've mentioned here, and they want my details, and I say, well, I cannot provide the details, but I require your service. Really,
with the hospitals, you can have some challenge, and that's why we're going ahead. Like I said, this is a final notice, because we're going to go ahead with the prosecution. If I am not well and I come for health care, I have to make sure that at least I need the health care. So I may give out my information, but that does not mean that by providing that information, you have the right to violate that information. And the reason why the health sectors are very important is because on not more than, on a number of occasions, we have had cause to worry, where in some of these hospitals, they are swapping lab results, they are giving wrong medication to patients as a result of improper record keeping. And so people are losing their lives that we're not even aware of. So it's very critical that we bring some of these issues to bear.
Interesting. I want us to take this a step lower to the very ordinary person on the street.
Yes.
Because you're talking about companies and individuals as well.
Yes.
We shouldn't forget that element. So I have my phone, I have your contact on my phone, and I lose my phone, and I don't have a password on it, and I don't have any means to protect the data on it, and the person who has my phone takes your contact or a certain email or certain personal information you've sent me. Am I liable in terms of my inability to protect your information and keeping?
If you look at the law critically, yes, an individual can be held responsible. So even if you are my friend and I find out that the violation, probably giving access to my information, enabled armed robbers to come to my house, I've lost everything, I can take action against you for not protecting that information adequately under the law, even in those social circumstances. But I mean, the law gives some level of exemption to information that is kept for household purposes. So in those situations, what we are saying is we are cautioning everyone to just be aware, because what we've seen is that a lot of the time this is happening because people don't even understand the implication of some of these issues. Okay, people are taking information, they are sending fraudulent, they are stealing identities of people, contacting third parties for monies in the name of, another person. These are all practices that happen from violation to the privacy of people, because somebody has left your card or your information in a place that they should not leave it. So yes, it may be difficult in those circumstances, but we have seen it happening, that in extreme situations, in very, very advanced countries, you would see individuals taking up, individuals for violation of their rights.
Interesting. Now, I'm just thinking that probably you should, I know you've been doing a lot of media campaign. I've seen a couple of your billboards around encouraging citizens to protect their own information, because it is their information and it can be used against them. But let's talk about how you intend to probably have a broader conversation on this, because as we are talking, I'm getting a lot more scenarios that could possibly pass for a violation or not. And I'm sure my producers, everybody is bringing up examples because it's really broad. The issue of data protection, have we exhausted all avenues?
At all. I mean, there's a long way to go. And the education process, if you ask my, honest opinion, I think it's going to take a very long time, probably 10 plus years. If you take the fact that we are a society that does not change our attitudes easily, it may even take longer, because the practices that we are talking about are bad habits, usually, that have become a part of us. And so, yes, it's something that we cannot exhaust in an hour. There are various bits and pieces of it that can be taken at any point in time to be delved into deeper. What we require as a commission, and it's important we have that, is a platform such as yours to continue to propagate this message, to as many people as possible, because ultimately we are there to help protect the interest of the people. So once we enable the people to have that knowledge and have that understanding, they are better able to assert their rights, and then it makes our work a lot easier.
These 177 companies that have been published for prosecution, are these the only companies involved?
No, this is the first set. The next one we're going to go on to are the media houses. We have a number of public sector organizations and agencies that have not registered. The religious bodies, churches and other religious bodies that are yet to register. But
okay, for example, sorry to butt in, for a religious company, a religious organization or a church, do you need the mother body, say the headquarters, or you need every single branch?
No, you need, usually we would want the headquarters. In fact, not to advertise for them, but I believe the Presbyterian Church of Ghana has actually done it, so they did it. But what you expect is that they then disseminate implementation to the branches. But most of the Orthodox churches have a well-structured systems in place, and so that's what we encourage. So it doesn't have to be every branch, even though it's up to them to decide how we want to go about the registration. But for our purposes, if the head office takes it up and ensures that the branches implement the laws, we are very much okay with that.
So data protection, churches. I'm just looking at the correlation. What do you expect from a church?
So you go to a church, right? Sometimes you're going to get married or you need counseling, and you visit someone and they give you a sheet of paper to put in information. I've had an opportunity where I witnessed a form that had been given with information on when you broke your virginity, who did you have sex with as part of a premarital counseling, who did you have sex with, how many men have you slept with, and the like. And guess what? At the time I found the form, this person who was actually conducting the counseling had it on a sheet of paper such as this and had misplaced the person's information.
Wow.
Exactly.
And does it include, give me your phone number so I do a follow-up?
And the phone number, so you have a form with your name on a phone number and very, very sensitive details. Sometimes even if you have some kind of disease, whether HIV or the rest, and you have it. And where are they keeping some of these records?
All right, Mom. So what are we looking at? Are we looking at prohibiting the church from asking setting sensitive information, or the church protecting that information?
We're looking at protecting the information.
So they can take it.
So you can take it, but proper structures. The law sets out what is sensitive information and what is ordinary information. The law gives you processes on how to protect the information. So typically in any organization, not just the church, you should be able to identify what information you are collecting. Then you have to look at your governance structures that you put in place, who has access to that information. Okay. So I shouldn't have it on my desk so that a cleaner that comes to clean the office or anybody that walks into the office has access to that information. You know, so they need to have proper and coordinated structures. And it's not just the churches. Everybody who's collecting, especially the organizations that are collecting information, must be aware of it. And we're doing this because under the first principle of the law, which says accountability, says that as long as you're collecting personal information, you should be aware that you're accountable to the individual and to the laws of this country governing the lawful processing of that information.
Okay, interesting. So these companies that need to register with the Data Commission, does it end there?
If they do the registry, we've already submitted, in fact, at 2 p.m., a meeting with the police so that we strategize the prosecution processes. So we're going ahead with the prosecution of them. But if they register, we will drop them out of the prosecution. The registration process is an online process. It takes less than 20 minutes if you have all the information required. And generally, you tell us who you are, where you are, what kinds of personal information you collect. So you may say, I collect information on employees, I collect information on clients, I collect information on patients or the like. And then when you do that, you tell us why you are collecting. So I'm collecting it maybe for purposes of processing payroll, providing health care, providing legal services and the like. It's very general. Then you tell us how you protect the information and who in your office will be our key contact in case there are any challenges with personal data within the organization. So once you do that and then you make a payment, there are payments, but it ranges from 100 cedis to 1,500.
Okay. Briefly, sorry to cutting, we're running out of time, but my question was that, does your work end with registering these companies?
No.
So once they're registered, what's the plan for monitoring?
We do a compliance process, which requires that every year you file a compliance audit. Okay. After the compliance audit is filed, we then go in to assess whether the report that you have filed with us is accurate. If we see challenges within how you are collecting information, we draw your attention to it and take you through a step-by-step process to make sure you're getting closer to respecting the obligations under the laws.
Thank you very much for coming. I even hear you've received threats from some of the lawyers of these companies who actually didn't want to register, and so you've had to resort to this particular one. But we'll stay with you for updates on the second list that's yet to be published. And we'll be bringing you more updates on this particular one, and obviously some education on what it means to protect your data and how to go about it. Teiki Akwete Falconer is the Executive Director of the Data Protection Commission. Many thanks for your time.
Thank you
once again. Now, with refugees, stand with refugees. That's the theme for this year's commemoration of World Refugee Day, which falls today. In essence, there's the quest to highlight the resilience of refugees and drawing attention to the fact that these group of people are here with us, and all in sundry must do well to stand with them despite their circumstances, with the hope to give them a better life. So we'll be bringing you more on this particular one. You're watching Joy News Desk. We'll be back with more. Please stay with us.